Awesome. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to school to all the staff, students, and family, and to the first public board meeting of the Halton District School Board for the 2023-2024 year. The date today, if you can believe it, it's September the 6th. I am going to start with a roll call of all the trustees returning to the table. Most are here, but we do have some online. So, Trustee Ahmed.
Good evening, Margot, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Trustee Amos.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Trustee Baxter.
Good evening.
Trustee Bryden.
Present.
Trustee Collard.
I'm here.
Trustee Daniele.
Thank you. I'm here.
Trustee Gray.
Hello.
Trustee Oliver.
Good evening and happy September, everyone.
Trustee Rocha.
Here.
Trustee Zhang.
Good evening.
And Trustee Tribalin.
What am I doing wrong?
Hey, there you go. Go ahead.
Present and super excited to be here. Thank you.
And Trustee Alimjanov. Close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, present.
Thank you very much. Director Ennis, can you please let us know what staff are here this evening?
Thank you so much, Chair Shuttleworth, and good evening, everyone. We're happy to be here. We have a full complement of senior staff to support our meeting this evening. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Trustee Gray, would you like to make a motion to go into committee of the whole private session, respecting property matters, negotiations, and personal information?
Yes, I would.
And this meeting will not be open to the public pursuant to the Education Act, Section 207(2).
Yes, I would then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Zhang, would you like to second that motion?
I second.
Thank you. Is everyone ready for the question? Are there any objections to moving into private session? Seeing none, we are now in private session. Thank you very much. Trustee Amos.
Jean's not there.
Oh, Jean. We'll just wait for a couple seconds for Manager Carrillo to come back. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public meeting of the Halton District School Board. Welcome our guests that are in the gallery, as well as those watching online. As this is the first meeting of the academic year, I wasn't going to, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to do an official roll call to give trustees a chance to say hello. Although most of us are here in person, we do have 2 trustees online, and they will let you know who they are when I call their names. And as I did it through traditional way first thing, this time I'm going to change it up a little bit and mix up the order. So I'll start with Trustee Daniele.
Thank you, Chair Shuttleworth. I am here.
Vice Chair Rocha.
I'm here too.
Trustee Collard.
Dare I say it? I'm here 3.
Mix up the Trustee Zhang.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here 4.
Trustee Ahmed.
Good evening, Margot, and good evening, everyone else, and welcome.
Trustee Sherbalin.
Here and ready for tonight.
Trustee Oliver.
Good evening and happy September.
Vice Chair Rocha. Did I get you? I didn't.
I'm here again.
You are again. I did you twice. Sorry. Trustee Amos.
Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. I don't know about you, but this feels more like a new year than the January timing because of the way school starts. So to me, this is a new year and I know it's going to be a good one. So hello, everyone.
Trustee Alimjanov.
Good evening, and I'm present.
Thank you. Trustee Bryden.
Good evening. Happy to be here, and it's been exciting 24 hours of school year already.
Trustee Gray.
Hello, everyone.
And Trustee Baxter.
Good evening, everyone.
And because I mixed it up, I think I got everybody. I got Trustee Zhang. He was number 4. And I will pass it over to Director Ennis to let us know about the senior staff that are here this evening.
Thank you, Chair Shuttleworth, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another school year. We're excited to have you, and we have a full complement of senior staff here to support the board meeting.
Thank you very much. Tonight, I'm going to be honoring the land, and in not preparation, but I think it's really important. One of the things that I know people are trying to do with land acknowledgements is relate it back to the personal and try to make it have an impact on you. And today, when I was at some of the openings of schools, one of the schools that I was at was McQuendam. And I was able to meet in person one of the parents who delegated at our board table when we looked at renaming the school. And it was really great to be able to make that personal connection. I think it's so important to look at those connections we have with the different communities within our school board and within our region. So just quickly sort of connect it back to what we are doing today. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern tradition of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawadron, the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, the lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather here today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the 4 directions: land, water, plants, animals, and ancestors that have walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to take this time to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. Next, we are up to the agenda. Trustee Bryden, would you like to move a motion to approve the agenda?
I would.
Thank you. And Trustee Oliver, would you like to second that motion?
I second.
All right. Is everyone ready for the question? Are there any objections to approving the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. Now, in relation to our agenda this evening, I need to check, are there any declarations of possible conflict of interest? Great. Again, seeing none, that brings us up to our delegations and presentations. So as you noted in our roll call, there are two new names to the board this evening, and we have our two student trustees who are going to be sworn in with their oath and declaration, and I'm going to pass it off to Director Ennis to lead them through this process.
Thank you, Chair Shuttleworth. And I'm going to ask Sultan and Shrina to come forward. So Shrina, I'm going to ask you to read this oath, and then we will sign.
I, Shrina Sribalan, do solemnly declare that in accordance with the Education Act, related legislation, and Halton District School Board policies and procedures, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially, and to do my best of my ability to execute the office of Student Trustee, and in my role as Student Trustee, I will comply with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, recognizing the importance of maintaining the confidentiality of the board with regards to the matters that are dealt with in closed session, and declare not to divulge any information of the context of any materials shared with trustees in closed meetings, whether or not I am present and or participating in closed meetings, and that I am not disqualified under any requirements from being a Student Trustee member of the Halton District School Board, declared before me at Burlington in the regional municipality of Halton on the 6th day of September 2023.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to ask you to sign, please. And I will sign as well. Wonderful. And I'm going to ask Sultan if you do the same.
I, Sultan Alam Zainab, do solemnly declare that in accordance with the Education Act, related legislation, and the Halton District School Board policies and procedures, I'll truthfully, faithfully, impartially, and to the best of my ability execute the office of Student Trustee, and in my role as Student Trustee, I will comply with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, recognizing the importance of maintaining the confidentiality of the board with regard to matters that are dealt with in closed session, and declare not to divulge any information of the contents of any material shared with student trustees in closed meetings, whether or not I am present and or participating in the closed meetings, and that I'm not disqualified under any requirements from being a student trustee member of the Halton District School Board, declared before me at Burlington in the regional municipality in Halton on the 6th day of September 2023.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask you to sign, and I'll Wonderful. All right, so everyone present, trustees and senior staff, and to the public, please join me first in welcoming Trustee Sribalan. And likewise, please join me in welcoming Trustee Alibjanov. Welcome to the Halton District School Board. We look forward to serving with you for this term. Congratulations.
Now we're going to dive right in. Trustee Alimjanov and Trustee Sribalan, do you have a report to share with us this evening?
Yes, we do.
All right, the floor is yours.
Good evening, trustees, staff, students, and parents. My name is Halton Learning Foundation, and along with student trustee Sri Balan, we are truly honored to officially introduce ourselves as the student trustees of the Halton District School Board. I am a grade 12 student at Abbey Park High School, and it is with great anticipation that I look forward to the upcoming school year, representing student voice at the board table.
Hello, and thanks again, Trustee Alimjanov, for the amazing introduction and to you all for the warm welcome. My name is Shrina Sribalan, and I'm a grade 12 student at Craig Kielburger Secondary School, who's super excited to be here today amongst you all. Looking forward to discussing crucial conversations within these rooms and creating tangible impacts in the best interest of 67,000 plus students that Trustee Alimjanov and I will be representing. First and foremost, Trustee Alimjanov and I would like to share the preparatory work that the two of us have done since elected into this role, as well as over the summer. To start, the Senate has surely kept busy this summer, preparing to showcase our Ask to administrations through the Halton Leadership Conference in the form of a short 5-minute video. We were so fortunate to share this video to interim administrations, including many of you in this room, to ensure the school year is set off at the right foot, with the student voice being at the forefront. Throughout the summer, we've had crucial conversations regarding key issues that our student senators felt our administrators should know, including pandemic disconnect, equity, environmental concerns, safe schools, communication barriers, and senators' struggles with reaching student voice. Trustee Alimjanov and I then presented this video at the Halton Leadership Conference alongside introductions to ourselves and the work we aspire to accomplish together alongside the Halton District School Board.
Furthermore, as a part of our duties in the role, in May of this year, with the guidance from outgoing student trustees Ruggiero and Wang, we had the opportunity to attend and become official members of the Ontario Student Trustee Association, otherwise known as ASA-ACO. We are proud to announce that both Trina, Trustee Sribalan, and I were selected to serve on the Executive Council of the Public Education Cabinet. Trustee Sribalan is now officially the Associate Vice President of the whole Cabinet. Very well done, Trustee Sribalan. Meanwhile, I was appointed as the representative on behalf of the Golden Horseshoe region, encompassing Halton, Toronto, Mississauga, Hamilton, and Waterloo, among others. Consequently, both Trustee Sribalan and I are excited about the work we can accomplish to enhance public education of students, not only in Halton, but across Ontario as well.
Furthermore, in collaboration with Trustee Ruggiero and Wang, on May 30th, the Student Equity Committee, alongside myself and Trustee Alimjanov, joined our predecessors in a conversation surrounding rethinking the student panel of this year's upcoming Human Rights Symposium at Elsie McGill Secondary School, alongside Shalita Walker and Navi Manners. Discussions aroused surrounding adapting the symposium to fit the needs of students post-pandemic and better engaging students of all backgrounds and ages via discussing learned experiences from past symposiums. The theme of the conference was established to be our voices, our stories, and our calls to action, alongside a mock agenda and proposal put together by the students themselves for an in-person event at an HTSB facility with perhaps hybrid options. Furthermore, we also attended and supported this year's Halton Youth Leadership Symposium on May 26th alongside our predecessors and Student Senate Directors of Operations to get a taste of how the event will run next year. Alongside that, on August 29th, Trustee Oliver connected with Trustee Alimjanov and I to perform our trustee orientation. She guided us through a boardroom orientation that helped enable Trustee Alimjanov and I to understand the structure and protocol of the boardroom code of conduct and policies, which is what has allowed us to be in front of you all today. We truly couldn't be in this room without her. So a huge thanks to our trustee mentor, Trustee Oliver, for her support as she has provided us already in this past month.
During the day of our orientation, we also had the pleasure of having a conversation with Director Innes and Associate Director Salmini. They have been very kind to provide us with a warm welcome and a useful guidance and assistance as we step into the role of student trustees. Throughout the year, we plan on keeping close contact, ensuring that student voice is represented on the highest level of governance within the HGSB.
In this jam-packed orientation, as well as in previous communication training sessions, Trustee Alimjanov and I were also able to sit down with Heather Francie, Jason Meisner, and Summer Sweetman to learn more about how to present ourselves, as well as the board, in our role, as well as introducing how we can work with Summer in her new role focused on student engagement, with an early project surrounding safe schools in the works, creating a safe schools video in the works in response to conversations started from our video from the Halton Leadership Conference.
Next off was the beginning of our preliminary planning for the HGSB Student Senates with our staff advisors. During this meeting, we have decided on the dates for the upcoming meetings for this year, selected the themes, and made a short list of potential guest speakers that will help provide senators with additional insight into our chosen themes. To provide some detail regarding the structure for the upcoming school year, Shrina and I have opted for a hybrid of virtual and in-person formats to ensure equitable access for everyone. Depending on how the booking process works out, we're hoping to alternate the meeting locations between the Milton Staff Learning Center and New Street Education Center. Appropriate information regarding the selection process of senators for individual schools will go out in the coming weeks. And speaking of Senate, Tuesday afternoon, we also had an excellent meeting with the CEO of the Halton Learning Foundation, where we discussed potential future cooperation with him and his organization throughout our work with the representatives of schools across the HDSB.
In our first of many student trustee reports to come, Trustee Alamjanov and I wanted to outline some of the early stages of action items we hope to explore in some way, shape, or form within our terms as student trustees over the next school year. The first item that came to mind for us was when looking into reporting systems and policies surrounding harassment, where we hope to enforce protocols and resources surrounding bullying, hate speech, and especially sexual harassment. We explored these looking like the creation of student-led committees, research packages, and further changes and transparency surrounding the reporting systems already present within the HDSB.
The second idea we wish to explore is artificial intelligence. As one of the greatest developments of our generation, if not all time, and the undoubtable part of the future of all global industries, Trustee Schreban and I wish to begin conducting analysis, consultations, collecting data, and working with staff and students to explore opportunities that lay within the topic of AI in our board.
Furthermore, we hope to also explore looking into supports for low-income and marginalized students within our board when it comes to applying for financial aid, funding for school clubs and student groups, as well as scholarships, perhaps expanding on the Student Sustainability Leadership Award within the Senate, or connecting the board partners such as the Halton Learning Foundation and the Halton Welcome Center to target underprivileged students in Halton.
Moreover, career and financial literacy has also been one of our major concerns. We want to ensure students of today are prepared for the world of tomorrow, and we're currently looking at integrating new opportunities for students to connect and learn about potential career paths, whether it be through career days, webinars, or speaking with industry professionals directly.
In regards to our Senate aspirations, we hope to invest and further the work of our predecessors with the Mental Health Task Force and the Student Equity Committee, already in place for this school year to ensure tangible impacts can be made to board resources, to ensure student voice is at the forefront of the key issues that directly affect the students the most.
We are also evaluating an opportunity to build on the works of our predecessors and hosting in-person elections for the upcoming student trustee elections in February of this year.
Again, to continue the work of our predecessors, we hope to explore in-school visits at our various schools across the board to further connect to other student groups within the schools, mainly equity and mental health teams, as well as exploring including elementary and middle schools in these visits.
To support our student senators this year and years to come, we hope to provide additional support, including appropriate senator resources like info packages, helping start senator clubs within schools, etc., in order to ensure the best effectiveness of their work.
And lastly, we hope to explore collaboration with the Communications Department, as well as the HDSB student site and social media accounts, specifically to further spotlight all aspects of the student experience within the HDSB, including highlighting student-led groups, diverse successes and celebrations within the board, as well as continuing to post our progress of what Trustee Alamjanov and I are up to throughout the school year. We hope that outlines where Trustee Alamjanov and I are with our progress and upcoming goals for our term. We can't wait to see where this year takes us, and we're so excited to get to know all of you. We're happy to answer any questions or comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do any of the trustees have questions for our students? So I have a couple, or one or two. First off, when you spoke about your Senate meetings, you talked about alternating between Milton and New Street. So you're not looking at using the boardroom?
Correct. Our senator list has actually expanded greatly, and unfortunately, we don't think there would be enough capacity in the boardroom to be in here again.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question, or I'll say interesting comment, was I really appreciate how you're looking at AI. I think that's something, and I know, so coming from a university lens, it's something that we need to look at how students, such as yourselves, are using as a tool versus a cheat. So it's really great to hear that you've got that sort of planned into your outlook. So thank you very much for sharing. I see no other questions. Welcome to the board, both of you, and thank you so much for your very first report. Okay, we have no delegations this evening, but we do have a presentation. So the student trustees actually spoke to the Halton Learning Foundation, and we have this evening Mark Clare, who is going to come and give us a little bit of an introduction to the charity of the Halton Learning Foundation, which is really near and dear to our hearts because everything that they do is for the students of our board. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for coming.
Hello, good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? Fantastic. Thumbs up all around. Hands up if you've heard of the Halton Learning Foundation. Lots of hands. Excellent. That's what we'd like to see. So I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I also want to extend my sincere gratitude for the support that the Halton District School Board has provided to the Halton Learning Foundation. Through in-kind services, through the portable that we have here on site at JWS, all sorts of connections, and so very much appreciate all the support that the Halton District School Board has done, whether it's staff, trustees, school communities. So thank you for that. I am the new CEO of the Halton Learning Foundation. I've been in the role for about 4 months now, and it has just flown by, and I've had the opportunity to meet many of you, so thank you for taking time to do that. And I have a few of you still to meet, so looking forward to that as well. Poverty remains a powerful factor in whether a student succeeds in school. And we are all here because we want to see students succeed in school. And the Halton Learning Foundation's role in that is to help with financial barriers to education. And so I know many of you are familiar with the Halton Learning Foundation. Some of you may not be as familiar with the Halton Learning Foundation. I'm going to share a little bit about the Halton Learning Foundation for the people in attendance, but also people that might be joining online. And but also going to provide some updates to you on the impact that the Halton Learning Foundation has had over the past year. So who are we? We were started by the Halton District School Board. I don't know if people realize that. Former Director of Education, Dusty Papke, and some superintendents and some trustees were involved in the starting of the Halton Learning Foundation in the year 2000. And I know some of you, as trustees, have been on the Halton Learning Foundation board or as friends of the Halton Learning Foundation. And so very much appreciate that. We achieved our charitable status in 2004. We are an independent organization, so our sole purpose is to support the Halton District School Board, but we are independent from the Halton District School Board as our own entity. And really our service to students is to help them to overcome financial barriers to education. What do? Well, we fundraise. That is our main mandate, and we help students in 3 areas. We want to eliminate financial barriers, we want to support school grants, and we support scholarships as well. I'll go into some of those details for you. So the Eliminating Financial Barriers program really focuses on the basic needs: food, clothing, school supplies, school trips, sports team fees, those types of things. And a school can identify a student or family in need, and then they can apply to the Halton Learning Foundation for some assistance. And we offer up to $250 per student per school year. And often that's in the form of a gift card, to Walmart or to another grocery store area. Okay. That's about it for that. The impact for this particular year. So you can see here there was the number of requests for the past 3 years. So our fiscal year is August 31st. 1,247 requests a couple of years ago. Last year, 1,454. And then a huge jump this past year, 39% jump to 2,014 requests to assist HDSB students with financial barriers to learning. So a significant increase there. We anticipate that's going to grow. And so that's the challenge of Halton Learning Foundation, is to be able to meet those needs. And, we depend on the generosity of the community to do that. I want to share with you some impact stories. And for me, the numbers are really important. But the impact stories, those are the ones that really kind of touch you in the heart. This particular example, this guy wanted to play football. And he had saved up all sorts of money, but his family was in a situation that was really challenging. And so he used his own expenses, his own savings, to help out his family. And the school learned about his situation. They approached the Halton Learning Foundation, and we were happy to be able to support this young person so that they could have that opportunity. And I know, sports and extracurricular activities for me was a huge part of that educational experience. And so it's important for us to be able to have the opportunity to participate in those experiences. We often get situations where families have a family member who is ill, maybe a cancer diagnosis or some other illness. We often have situations where people have lost their job. This particular situation is one where both things happened. There was an ill parent and a parent who lost their job. And this young lady was working till 11 o'clock each night, 5 nights a week, trying to support her family. Really struggling to balance school and work and family. And then exams showed up and, wanted to do well, but again was struggling with that. And so the school learned about her situation. They applied the Halton Learning Foundation, and we were able to help her out with her and her family out with some gift cards. Okay. Third example here. This young guy wanted to participate in a co-op experience. We all know co-op experiences are amazing, such a crucial part of the educational journey of many students. But sometimes you need extra stuff. You need, Tyler here, he needed safety shoes, he needed safety gloves so he could participate in that. And so, again, the school found out, they applied to Halton Learning Foundation, and we were able to support him with that. School grants is the second area that we support schools and students. And so we align ourselves with the school board's multi-year strategic plan. So we focus on applications that support equity inclusion, mental health and well-being, Indigenous awareness, arts and music. And schools can apply in about November, December timeframe for a grant of up to $1,500. This past year, we supported and approved 100 projects for about $120,000, and that supported projects at 57 schools. So more to come on that. We'll continue again with that to this November, December timeframe, so keep your eye out for the school grants. Some impact stories. So this particular school had applied for and wanted to do a wellness day of some sort. And what I love about this quote is that the students talked about this day as the best day ever at school. And I love that. They were thrilled. Staff were super engaged and motivated to continue to do wellness learning in their classrooms. This next one was about a caring closet. And I actually had the opportunity to visit this school in Oakville. And they had a special education resource room with a cupboard. Shelves full of basic necessities, things like personal hygiene, soaps and shampoos and combs and toothbrushes, toothpaste. They had socks and underwear. They had menstruation products. They had sunscreen. And what I love about this quote here is that they talk about giving our kids what they need as well as the gift of simple human pride and dignity. And that's what we're trying to do at the Halton Learning Foundation as well, is to try to make sure that we are upholding people's dignity and giving them the opportunities that they should have. This third one here really touches on equity. So we do support field trips for students, individuals, but this one was a group field trip, and it was a hands-on learning opportunity in the community. And what I love about this quote is that it says, "The kids who need it the most, it's the kids who need it the most who can afford it the least." And to me, that really resonates to the impact for these types of student grants or school grants. The third area that we support is on scholarships and awards. And this year, in the spring, we awarded 73 scholarships, amounting to almost $200,000 in value. And some of those scholarships might have been, a couple $100, $500, $1,000. Some of the scholarships are, it's a one-year kind of scholarship for a student who has some financial need at a particular school, for example. Or it might be a family who has said, we want to honor a loved one who has passed away, and we have this scholarship in their name. I met one of our donors who was a retired emergency room physician, and she very much valued STEM, so science, technology, engineering, math. I know you all know that, but people at home may not know that. And so she supported a $20,000 scholarship, so $5,000 over 4 years, for the opportunity for a graduating HDSP student to go into a STEM program. And I want to share with you this impact statement here. This particular young lady sent us this and was having really, really challenging life. And she had included some more details that aren't here, but just really, really challenging family situation. She refers to it as a turbulent life, but very much appreciates the scholarship that she received because it offers her stability. It offers her hope. And she mentions that she can't imagine the horrible situation she would have been trapped in without this scholarship that she received. And so really it's about giving the opportunity to continue this journey of learning through post-secondary and hopefully through into adulthood. Currently, we are in the middle of a back-to-school campaign, and so we are raising funds to help students with clothing and school supplies, other basic necessities. A neat thing about this particular campaign is that we've had, I think, 27 people who have decided to donate monthly, and those monthly donations are being matched by Johnson Insurance over the course of 1 year, which is a tremendous opportunity to help even more students. So thank you for the opportunity to share some information with you. I know for a lot of you this is information that you were familiar with. I hope you found value in the updates on some of the statistics and some of the impact statements that we shared. Often when I do these kinds of presentations, people ask, "Hey, Mark, how can I help?" And so I have a couple things in mind. One is two of them are related to awareness. So first of all, we want to help more students. All right. So in your network of people that you come into contact with, if you happen to come across somebody who might have a financial barrier to learning within the Halton District School Board, please let them know about the Halton Learning Foundation. The process is for them to approach their school. It's the school that would make the application to the Halton Learning Foundation on their behalf. So it could be a teacher, it could be a principal, a guidance counselor, social worker, any of those people at the school level can make an application on their behalf. Okay. The second thing on the awareness side of things is, as you've seen, we have a big demand, and we anticipate the demand is going to grow this fiscal year, this school year. And in order to meet that demand, we need to be able to raise the funds to do that. And so, we ask you to spread the word and let people know that, we are a valued charity of the Halton District School Board, and we appreciate all of the support. Many of the schools and staff and community members have been very supportive. We have on September 24th, we have a couple of events. We have the Appleby Line Street Festival that we're participating in. Hey, Margot, thank you. Margot's involved in that. And then we also have a yoga, sunrise yoga at Spencer Smith Park. This is the second year for that. So if yoga is of interest to you, that's an opportunity. We had 4 young students who set up a lemonade stand for us recently and raised $465 for the Halton Learning Foundation. So, it's students helping students, which is wonderful. And, I want to remind you that, poverty is a powerful factor in whether students succeed in school. And we are all in the business of helping students to succeed in school. We want to be able to continue to help students with their financial barriers to learning. We want to be able to continue to say yes to those students in need. And we need the community's help in order to do that. Trustees, we are preparing a summary of the impact that HLF has had on the schools within your wards. So we'll get those to you over the next week or so. And that's all I have. So I wonder if there are any questions.
Thank you. And again, just as Mark was saying about getting the word out, I know that there are trustees in this room that have super council meetings or meetings with their families of schools. That's a great opportunity to invite the Halton Learning Foundation. I know I've done that in the past, to come out to speak to your communities, because a lot of people aren't really aware of the impact that they have. So it's really nice to try and get their name out there. We have quite a list for you, Mark. So I'm going to start off with Trustee Gray.
Thank you very much. In addition to those super councils, we also have family of school meetings, and whether presentations can be made to all of our Ps and VPs on this topic, that might be something to consider. I had just a question. Many of us in this room participate in payroll deduction. Mm-hmm. And every year we have many new teachers joining our board. And yes, there could be teachers out there that may wonder, how do I also get to be on payroll deduction? What is the communication piece on that for our teaching staff?
Yeah, good question. Thank you, Trustee Gray. So we are working on that. We are looking at something a little bit later in the month. We had some good conversations with Director Ennis and Associate Director Salmini about this very topic. So we're working on a plan. We have direct communication with a number of school board staff already because they're in our database. But we are looking at a potential option to reach out to some other school board staff and provide them with that opportunity. Or if they choose that they would prefer to use a monthly credit card payment or a one-time donation, then those are other great options as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Trustee Amos.
Thank you. As a trustee who's been here since 2000 and has seen the growth of the Halton Learning Foundation, thank you, Mark, for bringing out what you are doing now, because it has been a journey, and what you are doing now is phenomenal in the way you're supporting the students, and it's allowing them to not have to worry and be able to focus on their studies and even on their home life. So thank you so much for all that you're doing and raising the awareness. And I would like to echo what the chair said about, how trustees trying to invite Mark or someone else from HLF to come to your family of schools to share the information, because we all need to raise awareness. It's important, and because they're all our students. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rocha.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair. Trustee Gray talked about how do we get information out to new staff. Mm-hmm. So how are we currently getting information to all our principals and staff in the sense that HLF is a potential resource for their students? Because I'm making an assumption that the 39% increase in requests, are all those requests coming from HDSB staff? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so does that mean that all of our staff at the administration level, so principals, vice principals, are they all aware of the HLF being a resource for their students in their classrooms?
I would say that many are aware, and I've had a number of conversations with many of the trustees and many of the senior staff here about this very topic. And they've been very supportive. So we do have, I've been invited out to the family of school meetings that are happening. I've connected with the Elementary Principals Association and the Secondary Principals Association, and we'll be doing some sharing of information with them there. We did share some information with the Director's Office for the Superintendent's newsletter for that to be passed down to administrators as well. So my sense in the many conversations that we've had is that many of the administrators are very aware of Halton Learning Foundation. There are newer administrators that may not be as aware. And so we're hoping to have that outreach to those groups and just a reminder, say, hey, we're here. And we'd love to be able to support your students if they have a financial barrier to learning. So, and we're certainly open to other potential ways of connecting with staff groups. I know in the past we've done presentations to different staff groups, social workers and CYCs and what have you. So we are definitely open to continuing those connections.
Okay, I have one follow-up. So HLF is to Halton. Do other school boards have an organization such as yours?
Yes, there are a number of learning or education foundations across the province. Not every school board has a similar one, but there's two in Halton. So one with Halton District, Halton Catholic. There's one in Peel. There's one in Hamilton. There's two in Niagara. There's two in Ottawa. There's one in London. There's one out in Prince Edward County, east of Kingston and Belvoir area. And so there are a number of education foundations within the province. I just received a call from somebody who's in the I don't quite remember, it's east of Toronto area, who are considering, the Director of Education and the school board are considering a similar learning foundation. So we have lots of similarities, but we're not all exactly the same.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, thank you so much, Mark, for coming and giving us some more information. It's always wonderful to hear, especially those impact stories. They always sort of tug and really make you think. We really appreciate the time you took to come and see us. I hope that the trustees do engage with you to have them come out to their school, family of school, super councils, whichever they call it, meetings, so that you can get out and get your name known in the community. So thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much. Again, appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We are now up to items under Section 3 of our consent agenda. So we have for approval the Halton District School Board minutes from June the 21st of 2023. And we also have receipt of the information items, including the order paper, the board report schedule, and the policies and procedures review schedule. So I'll put the motion on the floor. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the consent agenda and receive the information items for September the 6th, 2023. Trustee Baxter, would you like to make that motion to deal with the consent agenda?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Amos, would you like to second that?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any items that need to be pulled from the agenda? Trustee Collard.
Thank you. I don't think I want one to be pulled, but I do have a question. I was wondering when we will do our next review of the order paper, because I believe there are some items on there that can come off. And I just wanted to know when we'll be doing that review.
Okay. That will be coming under, I'll pass it over to Vice Chair Rocha.
Yeah, through you, Chair, to Trustee Collard. We typically look at the order paper twice a year. So maybe that's a reminder to me to check when we last did it. And if it has been 6 months, I will add it to the next available committee of the whole. So thank you for that, Trustee Collard.
Thanks very much.
All right, Vice Chair Rocha.
Yes, through you, Chair, I'd like to pull the policy and procedure review schedule.
All right, seeing no other names, I will pass it over to you about what you'd like to speak to.
Okay, perfect. So in reviewing the report, I noticed that there are a few policies that are overdue for review. Looking for a time frame as to when the leads on those policies think that the items will appear at Committee of the Whole for their first review. So I will, there are a few, so I'm going to ask perhaps Trustee Collard first, because there are some policies there that are led by the Governance Committee, and I know that Trustee Collard is the chair of that committee. So Trustee Collard, do you have an idea when the policy procedure framework when do you think that one will come to Committee of the Whole for its first review?
Yeah, I just put out an ask of people to see if we're ready to start meeting again. We did get the legal opinion that we had requested last June. We got that about 2 weeks ago. And so we need to look at that and determine our next steps, because that was what was actually holding us up on the framework policy and governance procedure. And so that should be coming, I would say, October, November.
All right, thank you. And then I think the next person I want to ask is Superintendent Taha. I believe this one is yours. When do you think the respectful workplace policy will come to Committee of the Whole for first review?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Vice Chair Rocha. As communicated to the board, we will be bringing the revisions to the respectful workplace policy, which will incorporate some of the themes that the professionals in policy had captured at the first Committee of the Whole meeting in October. And obviously, in the ordinary course, there'll be two board meetings where discussions and votes will occur, and that's the plan.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. I think that's it. No other speakers are on the list, so I will put the motion on the floor. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the consent agenda and receive the information items for September the 6th, 2023. Vice Chair Rocha, would you like to make that motion?
I would.
And Trustee Daniele, would you like to second that?
Thank you. Yes, I will.
Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved by unanimous consent. We're now up to item 4.0, ratification or action items for this evening. First off, we're looking at business transacted in private session. Vice Chair Rocha, do we have any business from private session this evening that require approval?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you very much. That brings us up to item 4.2, action items for September the 6th. And we'll start off with Glenview Primary School Gym Rebuild, report number 23129. Superintendent Gaudette, I'm going to pass the floor. Oh, and Superintendent Frankovich. Okay, keep them company.
And before these two superintendents begin, I just want to take the opportunity to thank both Superintendent Frankovich and Superintendent Godet for their leadership on this file. And thank you so much, and to the entire team that supports you for the stellar work that you have done.
Thank you and good evening. This evening we are here to give trustees and the public an update with respect to the Glenview Public School gymnasium rebuild. And so this evening we are seeking board approval to build a new gym, a larger gym that can serve the community. And in addition, we are seeking board approval for Superintendent Frankovich to finalize some details about temporary accommodations while we work on the design and ministry approval and subsequent City of Burlington approval and subsequent construction of a new double gym facility to replace the, I'll say, 3,300 square feet of facility that collapsed back on the weekend of July 2nd. The original gym was about 2,020 square feet. It was a very undersized gym. In our discussions with the ministry, that's not uncommon across the province, and as such, that's part of the reason that they suggested we use our rainy day fund, our proceeds of disposition. That report and strategy was brought to the board in June, holding $5 million kind of in reserve for just such an event. And so the ministry is encouraging us to seek board approval to use those resources. That will be offset by insurance costs that are still being assessed as the OSB continues its investigation and evaluation. I will say, you know, in just last week or the week before, Tuesday, August 29th, we did present to staff as well as the community on our temporary accommodation plans and the gym rebuild plans. The concept that is presented in this report is just a concept. It has not been we haven't engaged an architect to do the detailed design. It was something to give us something to work with, to try and evaluate and see how we could work it out and figure out timelines. So, like I say, with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Certainly, Superintendent Frankovich has been working on the temporary accommodations, and I've been working on the rebuild program. And Superintendent Nagoy is here to help us as well with any financial questions.
Thank you. And I know that both Trustee Bryden and I were at the community meeting that the board had a couple weeks ago, which I think they did a really great job of sort of laying some of the unease at rest. So I really do appreciate all the work that you did in doing that and the people that you had there to sort of confirm the information that you were saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the motion on the floor and then I will ask the questions. All right. So the motion is as such. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the use of proceeds of disposition to supplement the shortfall in funding remunerated by the board's insurer to rebuild the Glenview Public School Gymnasium facility of approximately 6,450 square feet as identified in Report 23129, and further authorize staff to tender and award projects either individually or combined to deliver on the rebuild as expeditiously as possible to support or in support of the Glenview community and the HDSB multi-year plan. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board directs staff to enter into necessary agreements with local agencies and or businesses to secure alternative spaces for physical activities until such time that the Glenview Gymnasium facility is completed. Trustee Bryden, would you like to make that motion?
I would.
And Trustee Collard, would you like to second that?
Yes, I would. I didn't expect that. I actually have my name on the speakers list, but I would like to let Trustee Bryden go first.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Trustee Bryden first.
I will add my thanks for all the work that both of you have done on this. And I would like to ask, one of the things that the community of Aldershot has asked for again and again is rec facilities. And so with us looking at putting in a bigger gym here, one of the notes in the background is that this potentially provides a needed resource within the community that could be available for rentals. I know it's not always easy to access school facilities for rentals. Is there anything that needs to change in our processes to facilitate access to that facility when it's in place?
Thank you for the question. I do know that with our new facilities, sometimes we don't rent them immediately, so we allow the school community to grow and get accustomed to their school first. Having said that, I will say that we do work with our municipal partners to rent out our facilities, and this is the first time I've heard this concern being brought forward, so I'm happy to take a look at that to see if we can help ease and ensure that community groups that want to access our space can.
Thank you. Trustee Collard.
Thank you. So I know that we passed the motion before the summer break to use proceeds of disposition. It seems that the provincial government is requiring us to use proceeds of disposition more and more frequently. And I know that we also have a number of projects that we are still repaying. I don't know how we end up at the end of this actually being able to do all of the things that we're supposed to do with proceeds of disposition, especially given that we have such a cap on our ability to collect any taxes from the sale of property through our bylaw. So I'm wondering, does the province not want to assist boards in these types of situations where insurance doesn't cover the full cost of replacing a facility, or perhaps replacing it in a better form, which I understand the insurance would not do? The government obviously wishes for us to be putting in the double gym, and that's of great benefit to the community, but they're refusing to chip in any money, and that seems to be a trend that we're seeing in case after case. I just kind of, it's more commentary than anything, but I find it troubling that school boards are no longer being assisted in these cases. And I'm also wondering, we can't be alone in this. Our school board is probably one of the boards with more newer schools. We do have some schools, though, that are quite old. And I'm wondering how many of our other schools may need not this identical repair, but unforeseen costly repairs that may also end up costing us money out of proceeds of disposition. And I'm greatly concerned that we're always going to be chasing after our proceeds of disposition for projects that we ought not have to use it for. I don't know if there's an answer to that or not, but I felt it needed to be said. Thanks.
Superintendent Nagoy.
Thank you, and for the chair, to Trustee Collard. Certainly, this is a bit of a unique case. So the insurance does cover the replacement of the facility as was insured. So they will cover for the cost of the facility with the square footage of 2,200 to 2,300 square feet. As the school community has grown, it is no longer a full-size adequate facility. So we've requested and discuss with the ministry the opportunity to submit a special business case for additional funding. We do understand that this was a bit out of the box, and when we discussed with the ministry staff, they suggested that, over the years, the specs have changed in terms of what is an appropriate gym facility for a school, and there are many schools that are small with single gyms or not the exact appropriate facilities with change rooms and washrooms, etc. So there are many facilities in the province, and unfortunately there are no funds to bring all of those up to the standard of the current builds. So there are no funding for these, and therefore the suggestion was that they do recognize that this is an opportunity to right-size the facility and provide the school community with the right size gym and programming. However, that we should be using our own funding. So therefore, looking at our proceeds of disposition, which, yes, they are limited. So Trustee Collard is correct. They're limited, and we have to be very diligent on how we spend in order to maximize the benefit to the system. We do have a contingency that we've left for $5 million, and this would be the proper use of that. It provides the maximum benefit to that community and a much needed enhancement opportunity. So it is what the ask is right now, based on the cost estimates, is about $1.3 million for the incremental costs to building a double gym, and $100,000 would be the deductible that we would have to pay regardless. So about 1.4 is the estimate that we think.
Thank you for that response. I am in favor of this motion. I just continually finding that as the years pass, the government provides less and less, and the board is required to use proceeds of disposition for more and more. And I don't know, however we will catch up. But I am in support of this motion.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rocha.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to Superintendent Godette. I am in support of this motion. I did want to, this prompted my thinking in that we've had this gym collapse. Has this prompted our facilities team to look at the state of other gymnasiums or any other buildings to ensure that there are no other collapses, be it a gym, be it other part of a building?
Yes, thanks for the question. This is a very rare occurrence, thankfully, and it has prompted us to do a review of all the schools, especially that were built in the same era and time frame. I will say this gym was a unique construction. It was a wood truss system, which we do not have anywhere else in our system. So we do have wood structures. They do exist, but not a 6-foot tall wood truss, which was in this gym. We don't have any others like that. We're continuing to review our documents, but certainly Kings Road is an example where same year of construction thereabouts, similar styles, and it's already been inspected. It is open web steel joist. It is not a wood truss. So again, we don't believe we've got anything like this in the system, but we're continuing to do our review. Further to that, on the follow-up meeting with our senior team after the collapse, Director Ennis required us to do a full investigation to ensure the rest of the facility was safe. That was conducted, and then we are looking at our preventative maintenance plans to see what we can do to gain greater comfort and ensure that this does not happen again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see no further speakers on the speakers list, so I am going to ask, is everyone ready for the question? All right. If you can please cast your votes. Thank you. Thank you very much, and that passes unanimously. I think he put his hand up on this. Thank you very much. I know that I have some follow-up meetings this week, as I was saying earlier, with the MPPs in the area, and I will definitely try to push this forward with them as well. So thank you so much. Okay, we are now up to item 4.2.1, which is the rate of inflation motion, report number 23130. Trustee Collard, I think what I'll do is I will read the motion first and then pass it over to you for some background information and explanation. Okay, so be it resolved that individual trustee expense envelopes be increased from $5,000 to $6,000 per year, an increase of $1,000 per trustee, retroactive to November the 15th, 2022, the start of the current term of the Board of Trustees. Be it resolved that the trustees' transportation costs for transportation within Ontario be reimbursed through the board's mileage account instead of individual trustee expense envelopes retroactive to November 15th, 2022, again, the start of the current term of the Board of Trustees. and that the annual board's mileage account be increased from $12,375 to $18,000, an increase of $5,625 for the Board of Trustees. Be it resolved that the compound rate of inflation since the most recent individual trustee expense envelope calculation be used as a guide to determine individual trustee expense envelopes at the beginning of each four-year term of the Board of Trustees. Be it resolved that the trustee expense governance procedure be amended to reflect the changes outlined above. Trustee Collard, would you like to move this motion?
Yes, thank you, I would.
Thank you very much. And Trustee Daniele, would you like to second that?
Thank you. Yes, I would.
Thank you. Trustee Collard, I'm going to pass the floor over to you to give some background and explain. Thank you.
Sure. Usually I would just tell everyone it's in the report and ask if there are questions, but I know that sometimes a little bit more explanation is needed than what's in the report. So I am going to weigh into some of the questions that I have heard from other trustees around the table. The one question that I heard was, why has it been so long since anyone looked at the expense envelope considering the rate of inflation? And I have no answer for that. I don't know why it was never looked at before. Perhaps trustees didn't realize it was within our power to do something about that. But it has been over 20 years since this envelope has been looked at. And we all know that the cost of conferences in some cases has doubled, and in many cases has gone up by far more than the rate of inflation. Things like accommodation when at a conference has also gone up, and price of gas has gone up, the price of supplies for our home offices has gone up. I don't think anything has remained stagnant, and while everything might not be at the absolute average compounded rate of inflation, I decided to ask for less than the 46% that is the compounded average rate of inflation, because I wanted to be reasonable. It's been 20 years at least since we've had an increase, and it was suggested to me also that this could be phased in, and I'm thinking it has been phased in. It's been phased in over a very long 20 plus year time frame, and the costs have become such that many trustees are using their own personal funds in order to get access to professional development, and that's just not proper. It's not right. So I'm bringing this forward on that basis, and if anyone has any questions, I am happy to give the best response I can. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that expansion. I'm looking to the speakers list, and I see Vice Chair Rocha.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to Trustee Collard. I fully support this motion. As a trustee who's always seeking to develop in this role, because it's an ongoing learning. It's a role you're in, and you're always learning, and you don't know what you don't know. So I'm always thrown at, oh, did you know about this? Did you know about that? So I find that the budget we are allotted is limited. So I appreciate you putting this motion forward. And also, as members of OPSPA, they put on conferences for us because we are their audience. And we have to pick and choose carefully which ones we attend, because we don't have enough to attend everything. So just wanted to say I do support the motion, and I understand the rationale behind it. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Zhang.
Thank you. I read this motion several times, and I also get information from Trustee Collard. And so because this envelope limit already 20 years, so if we have some increase, this makes sense for me. But there's a question, Because the trustee account, this is for we can charge the expense from this account. This account is for the expense we use to fulfill our job. So the mileage, I believe we still need to charge from this account. And I identify there's a structural issue. This is not for this motion. This is how the framework we calculate the expenses. For example, we live in different area. The school board in Burlington, so trustee from Burlington have a lower travel expense. Trustee from the Oakville, Milton, and even Halton Hills, that's the travel expense is much higher. So if everyone has the same limit, that's unfair to the trustee living in other cities. So I believe we need to have a structure first to resolve this limit. So everyone should have a different limit. And also, the trustees in each ward, they have a different number of schools. And some trustee may have more schools than other trustee. So when we visit the schools, sometimes we visit the schools, like present the award or meet the principals. And so that's also we need to consider that cost. That's why, because there's something I'm struggling with this. One thing is it makes sense to increase, and the other one is we need to resolve the structural issue first. So for now, I can say I cannot make a fair vote. So I have two recommendations. Either we can defer this and resolve the structural issue first, or as an exception, allow the trustee like me to abstain to vote. Abstain.
So Trustee Zhang, we have a policy that you are not able to abstain from voting, but are you wanting to put a motion on the floor to defer this motion?
Yes, I prefer defer.
May I ask, is it all of the motions that you wish to defer, or just it's just a partial deferral? And if I also might respond to Trustee Zhang's remarks regarding transportation. I don't know if that's in order.
You can go ahead, Trustee Collard.
Yeah, regarding the transportation, the reason why the cap was removed was specifically for that reason, so that trustees who drive more don't have a cap, and it doesn't come from their envelope. It comes from a central account. Some trustees drive very little, and some trustees, even trustees who live in Burlington, sometimes drive more than trustees who live in Oakville. It all depends on the things that you attend and how active you are and how many events you're able to attend in person. It's a factor, absolutely, for trustees that live further away. And that was an effort to be more equitable, was by taking that out of the trustee envelope and putting it in the central account. So that is a structural change that is put in place to ensure that no trustee is disadvantaged because they drive more.
So Trustee Zhang, does that clarify anything, or?
That answered the question, but I still have a lot of things I don't know, because I thought all the factors at home because I read this many times. So I'm just thinking, what is the best way to do the calculation of that? That's why I said I cannot do a fair vote so I know we need to have an increase. If we review the cost every year like before the school year, so that would be better then.
So are you wanting, again, so I'm just going to come back instead of going over what you're saying again. Are you wanting to defer this motion? Are you wanting to put a motion on the floor?
I want to defer the motion.
To defer the motion. Yeah. So I'm just going to look out to see if there's anybody who would like to second that motion.
The entire motion.
I did the entire, again, sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
Entire motion.
The entire motion. Trustee Baxter would like to second that motion. All right, so we now have a motion on the floor to defer this motion until, would you like it to come back to committee of the whole?
I'm not sure because committee of the whole meeting does the next week, right? So
Correct.
I believe this we need a month maybe in October. Is that too late?
So you would like to defer this to the board meeting, so would you like to have it discussed at committee of the whole? So committee of the whole is almost like a working, and we actually talked about this earlier today, should be a working sort of session where we can really get into the weeds and look into the different pieces regarding where your concerns might lie. So maybe, as a friendly suggestion, you might like to look at deferring it to committee of the whole to be able to come back to the board meeting following that.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Yes, I will support to the next committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to defer the entire motion to September's committee of the whole? September committee of the whole. That motion was made by Trustee Zhang and seconded by Trustee Baxter. Is there any discussion around? I don't want to take the list away, so if there's anybody who has anything that they want to say about this before we go to vote. All right, so we are now voting on a motion to defer consideration of the entirety of the motion to be discussed at committee of the whole on September the 13th. Thank you very much. Please cast your votes. Okay, so I'm sorry, I have to put my sunglasses on because my glasses are in my bag and I can't read. Okay, so we have, that does not pass. Naveed, Trustee Ahmed, how do you vote? This is on the vote to defer this motion.
So I voted yes.
Okay, he might have put his hand up. So we have then voting to defer. We have in favor Trustee Bryden, Trustee Zhang, Chair Shuttleworth, and Trustee Baxter, and Trustee Ahmed. To not defer, we have Trustee Amos, Trustee Daniele, Trustee Gray, Trustee Collard, Vice Chair Rocha, and Trustee Oliver. So that does not pass because it needs to have the motion does not pass, so the motion is back on the floor for today. Go back to the speakers list and see where we are, and I think we have Trustee Baxter.
Thank you, through you, Chair Shuttleworth. I think I'm in a similar situation given our bylaws as Trustee Zhang, in having some difficulty supporting the motion based on lack of information, which is why I seconded the motion to defer until we could have a fulsome discussion. I have a sort of a list of concerns, but I think one of the most important is that staff are currently working off of a budget that we approved, and now we're talking about bringing new money into the line item. Don't know exactly what it's called, but the line item that pertains to our individual expense envelopes. And so I have some concern just in process and my fiduciary duty to the board to approve a motion that I would imagine has impact on staff, given that they are now in September and working off of a budget that we approved. I have no issues with looking at what it actually costs to be a trustee as a new one. I've looked around on my own because there was nothing in the motion to try to get some information about what it does cost. And there is some information about individual trustee spend for last year, but I recognize that's not terribly representative of the real costs given COVID and the restrictions on travel and that kind of thing. I think that it would be most appropriate to have this type of discussion in the spring when we're doing the budget and talk about, get information from staff of where would we be taking this from, and what would be the overall impact. And again, as a group of trustees, be able to discuss, exactly what is needed and what we should be doing. I know that PES is a good example of a conference that we should all be attending if we can, one of the OBSPA conferences, and that doesn't come out of our individual budgets. We pass a motion, it looks like annually, to take that out of the prior term reserve. So like I said, I find this motion to be lacking in information, and I don't feel comfortable supporting it on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gray.
Thank you very much, through the chair. I speak in favor of this motion as it sits before us. I find it has the structure that has been spoken about by Trustee Collard in address to Trustee Xing Li here, that there is a structure that it does accommodate equity with the transportation. Maybe some of the information that is being sought by Trustee Baxter is because of newness to the board. I look at this and I see it has the information that I need to make a decision tonight. I don't know what else I could say other than that it's a motion that's probably long overdue. And I guess through the director, if I may, I would ask a question of our superintendent of business. Would this, as seen as a motion of an increased cost to our board, does it represent a financial hardship, or is that a difficult thing to answer?
If I may just begin, and I'll turn it over to Superintendent Ngoy. I certainly would be in support of this. It's certainly not a substantive or significant amount, in relation to our budget. So I'll ask Superintendent Ngoy to expand.
Thank you. And for the chair, to Trustee Gray, we're looking at about $17,000 per year. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a significant amount. And we have been collaborating on what would make sense based on reviewing the expenses over the last few years, as well as recognizing the increasing costs in terms of conferences, transportation, etc. So the approximate $17,000 a year between the two lines being increased is going to provide that flexibility for trustees to attend to the events that you require to in your role. At this point in the budget, Trustee Baxter is correct. We haven't budgeted for it, so we will be taking it out of the contingency. We have $500,000 set aside. Moving forward, we'll be budgeting it upfront. But as Director Ennis mentioned, it's not a significant amount, so not something that we are concerned, and we recognize the fact that your role will take you to different events for the benefit of the organization.
Yes, and just thank you so much for that information. And Director Ennis, just as a follow-up, I just wanted to make a comment that I think it's important for the public to know just how important it is for trustees to seek and actively participate in these professional development opportunities that are offered right across this province and across the country. I would like to make mention today that in addition to those professional development opportunities that are offered to us that cost money, many of us take advantage of many free professional development opportunities that are offered through our organization, the Ontario Public School Board of Trustees. So I just want everyone to know who may be watching that professional development is so key and critical if you are to do a very good job as a trustee in our province. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daniele.
Thank you very much. I'm going to admit, Trustee Collin and I had this conversation that at first when it came across, I was like, I don't, because we're taught that the optics of thinking about what we need to do our job is somehow taken away from kids. And we've just heard that this will not be, that it is coming from a contingency fund. And so I started to really look at it because I'm in my 17th year as a trustee and my expenses have been exactly the same for 17 years. There have been many times over that 17 years that I have used my own money to go forward for my professional development. Because I can tell you the things we were discussing at this table 17 years ago in education are not the things that we are discussing now. There's been significant changes and initiatives in education, and to be able to stay up to date on professional development, on all those changes in the educational landscape has been invaluable. Simply, I look at the differences in labor relations from my first day to now, the differences that have come to the collective bargaining agreements, things like that, things that trustees do really need to know. And I asked myself, why am I promoting? I want every single student, every single staff to be a lifelong learner. Why would we limit ourselves and say professional development isn't as important for us? We do need to learn our jobs. And as far as the mileage piece, I did some calculations because I am one of the ones. I spoke with the Burlington trustee and we realized that every Wednesday when we come here, my cost is literally 3 times that trustee's cost in mileage. So I am using the $1,000 a year just to come to work. Not anything above and beyond, just to come to work, which means that I get $4,000 in professional development money. So I do believe that the change, and it was originally the $1,000 was put in and then that was capped at that to make arrangements for those coming from the far end of Oakville or from the far end of Milton or from Halton Hills that would have those so they wouldn't lose their entire PD fund to mileage. I do think this is a much fairer way of doing it. I don't think I would like to see it go individually. Well, if you live in this area, then you get this much mileage, you get this. I think that this is very clean. It's very neat. It's very tidy. It's very overdue. Am I uncomfortable with, giving ourselves a bump up in our PD because I'm Canadian and I'm taught to think that we're not supposed to think that way? But the reality is we do need this. And that PD is exceptionally important. I can tell you over the 17 years, I can tell you which trustees have done PD and which ones have not in terms of their understanding of issues around the board table. So I do think this is something that is very much overdue, and I will be supporting it. And I thank Trustee Collard for taking on something that she knows may not have the best opposite, be unpopular, but is absolutely, I believe, the right thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Collard.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those words. I really appreciate that. Anyone who's known me for more than a couple of years knows how important professional development is to me. I have attended just about everything that I could get my hands on in the last 13 years of being a trustee. And some things have been online, some things have been in person, some things have been free, some things haven't. But the more that you know, the more that you can do. The more that you know, the more you can share. The more you know, the more you can teach others. And I think that's part of our job as trustees. We need to be making sure that we have the information that we need in order to make the decisions at our board table. And the way that we get that is not by isolating ourselves to our group of 11, but rather by going to professional development opportunities in other jurisdictions and learning how other jurisdictions do things. The number of times that good ideas have been brought back to this board or good ideas from this board have been shared with other jurisdictions, I can't list them. It's been a really wonderful way of learning. The collegiality and the networking is also extremely important because quite often our provincial counterparts are at these opportunities and you get to meet them and you get to talk to them about what's happening in Halton. And you don't get those kind of opportunities every day. So I'm grateful for the words of support, even from people who aren't sure about voting for this tonight, but see the need for it. I am grateful for the words of support, and I'm hopeful that we will move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Collard. And before we call the vote, I would just like to say I am fully in support of this motion as well. I thought it was important that for trustees to get a fuller understanding that if we were able to defer it, that might have been a helpful piece for those who were not as sure. But I do think that this motion is important. As everybody has said, it's important to develop ourselves, and costs have gone up. I look at, yes, PES, as you said, Trustee Baxter, comes out of the previous year, but that doesn't account for the hotel costs, and hotel costs have gone up crazy. So just quickly, I am in full support of this, and I will now ask everyone if they're ready for the question. And if you can please cast your votes. Trustee Ahmed? I think he put his hand up. Trustee Ahmed, is that in favor?
No, I'm saying that I don't agree.
Okay, thank you very much. So that vote passes, but not unanimously. People in favor are Trustee Amos, Trustee Daniele, Trustee Bryden, Trustee Gray, Trustee Collard, Chair Shuttleworth, Vice Chair Rocha, and Trustee Oliver. Opposed are Trustee Zhang, Trustee Baxter, and Trustee Ahmed. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, that brings us up to item 4.2.3, review of the 2023-2024 operational plan, report number 23131. Trustee Zhang, I'll pass it over to you. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm going to do what I've been doing before. I'm going to read the motion first and then pass it over to you. Be it resolved that the Director of Education provide the Board with a written report by October the 18th of 2023 that provides a review of the documents cited in the 2023-2024 operational plan to ensure that the content aligns with the human rights law, the HDSB multi-year plan, and HDSB policies. Be it further resolved that the Director of Education provide the Board with a written report by October 18th, 2023, outlining how speakers are chosen and what the Board does to ensure the messaging is in line with HDSB values and the promotion of public education.
Point of order, please.
Yes.
Did you miss the first paragraph of that motion?
Oh, so sorry, I did. So, whereas the Board of Trustees has a statutory responsibility to promote a school climate that is inclusive and accepting and promote mental health, students' well-being, and the prevention of bullying and systematic racism under the Education Act. Thank you very much. Trustee Zhang, would you like to make a motion to make that motion?
Yes.
And Trustee Gray, would you like to second that?
I decline.
Okay, Trustee Bryden, would you like to second that? This is just to get the motion on the floor, please.
I would decline as well.
Trustee Baxter, can I ask, would you like to second that motion?
I will second the motion to bring it to the floor.
Thank you very
discussion.
much.
Thank you.
All right, Trustee Zhang, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the last board meeting on June 21st, we passed the HDSB 2023-2024 operational plan. The operational plan structure is aligned with the HDSB multi-year plan, including the MYP goals, expected outcome by 2024, and 2023-2024 school year key strategies. The operational plan has a reference to a book and a speaker who will be invited to 15 HDSB schools to present a very similar subject. The same speaker has already done at the TED Talk for the purpose of anti-racism education. Concern raised that although these sources are seen as tools to combat racism, their impact may not always reflect their intent. The main concern about the cited book is stereotyping based on the skin color. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights is widely accepted as a foundation of human rights laws in the member countries. Canada is one of the fundamental contributors to this declaration. In its Article 2, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedom set forth in this declaration without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political and other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth of other status. In Article 7, all are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. In Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom, 15.1, it says, every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination, and in particular without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. In HDSB procedure AP, respectful workplace free of discrimination and harassment, there is a definition about discrimination. It says unequal. Thus, the definition of discrimination is unequal treatment on the basis of age, ancestry, color, race, citizenship, ethnic origin, place of origin, creed, disability, family status, marital status, including the single status, gender identity, gender expression, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, and in the case of employment, record of offenses. The cited book in the operational plan explains who holds white privilege. It says, meaning persons who are visually identifiable as white passing, or holding white privilege. This includes persons who may be biracial, mixed race, or white passing people of color who benefit under the existence of white supremacy from having lighter skin color than visually brown, black, or indigenous people. That means, so it judge people by skin color. So this book is a 28-day challenge. So in day 5, it says, in fact, you can consider yourself one of the most progressive, liberal, we are all one race, peace-loving white people, and still at subconscious level believe in white superiority. And in day 6, this is a subject about white exceptionalism. It says, white exceptionalism is the belief that you, as a white person, are exempt from white supremacy, and that you are one of the good ones. That is work that this work doesn't apply to you. This work means the book. So in day 8, the book says, race-based color blindness is the idea that you do not see color, that you do not notice difference in race, or if you do, that you do not treat people differently or oppress people based on those differences. So it enforces the people must see color and treat people differently based on the skin color. And in day 17, tokenism. When a white privileged person uses their proximity to BIPOC to prove they cannot be racist, e.g., I can't be racist because my partner, ex-children, family members, best friends, teachers, favorite writers, activists, and athletes, so are BIPOC. So if they have a family members and partners are black or brown people, and even this person is white, so based on this book, it's still racist. And in day 19, bringing activist words to and BIPOC images into your brand to make your business. So this is something optical alignment. There are much more examples in this book, all differentiate people. So, because I want just talk about the issue, I identify this book, so I don't want to address any person or something, because they have their reputation. I want to respect all the authors, so I didn't say any author or any person.
So,
Yes.
Trustee Zhang, could you try to, you're going into quite a bit of detail. Could you just, again, try to summarize succinctly?
Okay, so very quick. So, one more minute. So there are much more examples in the book. All differentiate people by skin color. So, other than the United Nations Declaration, Canadian and Ontario laws, so I want everyone to remember 60 years ago, what Martin Luther King said in I Have a Dream. He said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. Okay, that's my comments for the background for the first for the book. So now let's move to the speaker. So the speaker already make a very similar speech at the TED Talk. She expressed her opinion against the costly future.
So
days.
point of order, Trustee Zhang, so when you're speaking to TED Talks, those are not speaking to the board. So when you were when in the motion, it speaks about speakers at the board. So a TED Talk is not necessarily a speaker at the board. So be mindful that you are speaking in specific relation to the board.
In that TED Talk, the topic is just a one-word difference, almost the same to what in our operational plan.
I recognize that, but again, if you are speaking on the motion on speakers at the board, you need to make sure that you are looking at speakers within the board, not necessarily, again, we all, and I know everybody here, speaks outside of the board and speaks inside the board. And what I say outside might not necessarily be directly related to the board. So just be mindful of that, please.
Because the invite person, we invite this speaker to talk, we need person to advocate to the public education. So we need to see this person, what she said before. So in PPM 128, the school board has a responsibility to early intervention and prevention. So just let me finish 1 minute. So she explained her opinion against the costly future pizza days, book fairs, graduation ceremonies for equity reason. And there would be no STEM program because missing and murdered Indigenous women are still an issue. She expects the curriculum is not the example of overcoming the odds. She wants the curriculum to help me to understand me. The speaker also said, I think a girl who could walk in a school and I can be a girl just like I am. I don't have to conform to any standard. I don't have to adhere to your sexist dress code. So the rest of speech all about the political ideology, so I don't want to touch those topics. So concerned about where the students' academic achievements in her speech. If in our multiple year plan, elevating students' achievements is one of the HDSB objective. So in the recent past Bill 98, we have the new directions from the province. So we need to go back to the basics. That's reading, writing, math, and the STEM program. So that's very important to all the students' achievements. So this is. We just need to take into account what the direction we are setting for the education. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zhang. So I'd like to put a motion on the floor to split the motions, please. I'm concerned at the first piece as in terms of the books and everything related, because I'm sure there is a rigorous procedure to look at how we use books and that sort of thing. However, I do think that there is, in the second half of the motion, I do think that there is room to look at, and I have spoken with this about this with Director Innes, and looking at the how speakers are chosen for the board. So I'm just putting a motion on the floor to split the motion.
Point of order. You don't need to make a motion. All you do is one person at the table wants to split the motion and it gets split. You don't have to make a motion. If you want to split,
we just had a look at the rules here, and it said it needs a seconder. So
no, it doesn't. There's no motion required for this. No motion to split.
Point of order.
If one person around the table wants to split, it is split.
That is actually dependent on whether the topics are related or not. If the topics are deemed unrelated, then it takes only a single person. If the topics are deemed related, then it does take a vote.
Well, yeah, if one vote is dependent on the other, it requires a vote.
So we have that right now that we're going to have a motion just to make sure. So I have put the motion, Trustee Daniele has seconded it. This is a motion on the floor to split the motions, to split the two requests. So is everybody ready for the question? Wonderful. All right, if everybody can please cast their votes. Trustee Ahmed, are you in favor or opposed?
Yes, in favor, please.
Thank you very much. And that passes, but not unanimously. People in favor are Trustee Amos, Trustee Daniele, Trustee Bryden, Trustee Zhang, Trustee Gray, Chair Shuttleworth, Trustee Baxter, Vice Chair Rocha, and Trustee Oliver. Opposed are Trustee Collard. Thank you very much. So the motion is now split. So we will start with the first part of the motion. And I'm going to check if there's questions. Trustee Daniele, and then I'll read the first part of the motion after the questions are asked. That's okay?
So I'm only speaking to the first part of the motion, and then I can go back on the speakers list to speak to the
Yes,
second.
you may. So we are looking at the first part of the motion, which I'm just going to come back to, is be it resolved that the Director of Education provide the board with a written report by October the 18th, 2023, that provides a review of the documents cited in the 2023-2024 operational plan to ensure that the content aligns with the human rights laws, the HDSB multi-year plan, and the HDSB policies. Trustee Daniele.
Thank you very much. I'm going to admit I'm struggling mightily to be able to see myself in a place where I would be able to support this part of the motion. I've gone back to the operational plan I don't know how many times. This does not talk about what specific policies, but what specific documents that are cited that it is looking at. There is almost an inference that we're not doing anything wrong, but I'm not seeing any evidence. And I just heard a great deal of oral information that I literally couldn't take in, that maybe if it had been a part of this report, I might have been able to understand it a little bit further, but I'm not seeing where just both what I have here, I am not seeing where it would be necessary. But my question would be, as always, to Director Ennis, if you don't mind, what would this kind of motion mean to staff to be able to provide this along with that timeline of October 18th? Would you mind giving us the just the feasibility and the logistics?
Thank you for the question, Trustee Daniele. It's a bit nebulous, and certainly some of the oral presentations that I heard this evening are very concerning to me. I don't know where we would begin, and this would be very time consuming, and I'm unsure of the motivation behind this, because the things that I'm hearing are clearly not aligned with our multi-year plan. In fact, they are antithetical to our multi-year plan. So I would rest there.
As a follow-up, thank you very much. That was how I was feeling. So to hear it clarified through you, I appreciate that very much. Again, I'm not seeing the evidence that this particular review is required. So I'm afraid I will not be supporting it this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Collard. Trustee Collard?
Yeah, I'm just trying to push my buttons. When I read this motion, I have no scope. A review of the documents cited in the operational plan. That's a lengthy list. And ensure the content of each of those documents aligns with human rights laws, HDSB multi-year plan, and HDSB policies. I'm gobsmacked, actually. I look at that and I think that's a make work project with nothing to grasp hold of. It's like trying to fill your hands with mist. I'm not sure what the purpose and the intent of this is. And having heard the oration that preceded this discussion, I'm actually quite aligned with Director Ennis and Trustee Daniele. I fear we are treading on very dangerous territory, and I cannot support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Baxter.
I'm in agreement, I think, in terms of Director Ennis's concern about what we heard. I interpreted, or I believe I understood Trustee Zhang, that these were comments that have been made either in writing or verbally by presenters or are in content, or sorry, is content of something that is in the operational plan. Given that, I think it is concerning. I'm confident that Director Ennis's dedication to ensuring that all students and staff in the board are treated fairly as individuals, but due diligence is essential, and I think it's expected. It's not reasonable to expect Director Ennis and staff to know everything about every presenter that comes to the board, certainly, I think we have to be fair in terms of, when a review needs to be done, it needs to be done. We shouldn't obviously continue a relationship with a consultant or a speaker or use, reviewing the content of the operational plan. Yep. I think we should not continue a relationship with any consultant or speaker who promotes ideas that are contrary to the board's values, and I believe that's what Trustee Zhang was giving us examples of. So I do have some concerns. I believe that trustees have a statutory duty to bring these concerns to Director Ennis, as Trustee Zhang has done, and request a thorough analysis. So I would be in support of the first motion for that exploratory work and in confirming that everything that is coming into the board. And like I said, when we know better, we do better. So I'm assuming that due diligence was done and maybe something was missed. And I would appreciate getting some feedback from staff that we're not contravening any of these policies or laws.
Thank you. Trustee Rocha, or Vice Chair Rocha.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to Trustee Zhang. So speaking to the first motion, it says provide a review of the documents cited in the operational plan. Which documents? Like, the operational plan is really big. I don't see the documents cited. So I don't even know how many there are in question. And I got the impression from you, you're trying to protect privacy or...
Okay.
So I'm wondering, is it one document you're worried about? Is it 30 documents? So if you can help me understand help me understand how many documents exactly are you looking at having reviewed?
Okay. So let me clarify. This document is a book. It is cited twice in the operational plan on page 1 and page 6. So in page 1, it clearly says this is 3 parts. So if I didn't mention the book or the author because this is the author, I don't want to attack any person. I just want to address the issue. So if you want to really interested to know what the document, actually, I only mentioned one book in the background. That's the Me and the White Supremacy. That's the book.
Point of order, it's mentioned on page 1 and page 6.
So can I, just to follow up?
So
I'm just going to follow up to my question. So Trustee Zhang, from what I understand, there's one book you have an issue with.
Right.
And that's the one you are asking Director Ennis and his team to review.
Right.
So that it's in keeping with human rights and our MYP and our policies and whatnot, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so do I still have time?
Yeah.
Okay, so through you, Chair, to Director Ennis, no, Do you know which book is being referred to? And can you provide any comment as to whether you're aware that it's in keeping with human rights legislations, our policies, and our MYP?
I think I understand the book to be Me and White Supremacy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The book is specifically an anti-racist book, which is in keeping with our multi-year plan, our equity and diversity inclusion, and it's also in keeping with the way forward, our human rights document, the way forward. So it is in perfect alignment, actually, with our board. It is an anti-racist book. It's not a pro-racist book. There is a dangerous, and I didn't want to go there, there is a dangerous ideology that's permeating our society. And that is, if you say white, it means that you are promoting hatred and racism. It is the complete opposite. It is a misunderstanding, at the very least, of what racism is. To understand that there are systems and structures that privileges others and not some is not racist. That is the definition of anti-racist. But there is a dangerous ideology that has been permeating our society recently to actually flip the script to say that if you acknowledge that some people have benefited more than others through history, that is in and of itself racist. That is just bizarre. It is very strongly promoted in the United States, and unfortunately it's made its way north. We really need to have greater learning and understanding about anti-racism. What has been labeled racist is anti-racist. It's a subversion of what we know to be true. I just don't understand this.
Okay. So first, we need to read the book. So I don't want to change any words or from my, just to say something from my memory, because I read the book, I read the workbook, and I didn't read the third party. So there are three parts of the challenge. So in the book, it already
Point of order. I believe Vice Chair Rocha has the floor.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Trustee, Vice Chair Rocha.
Right. Yes. Thank you for that, Trustee Bryden. So thank you for answering my question, Director Ennis. Knowing more about the book and knowing more of what you said, Trustee Zhang and Director Ennis, I'm just going to put forth that I will not be supporting this motion, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Trustee Daniele.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Director Ennis. I know you said you didn't want to go there, but I think what you said was incredibly important and impactful, and I appreciate it personally very much. But I do notice that there is one voice we are not hearing from tonight. We do have a human rights and equity advisor who is a specialist in this area, and I don't know if Niagara is online, and if so, if he, because we quite often will have these discussions and not think to bring him in, but it is his area, so I just wondered if there was something that he wanted to add.
Okay, through the chair. Go ahead. Human rights. I was going to say Superintendent Niagara.
Thank you very much, Director Ennis, and through you, Madam Vice Chair, and through you, Chair. And thank you, Trustee Denya, for allowing me to share a few thoughts on this. I'm not going to share much more than what Director Ennis has said, because I think it was more than enough. but I will add this as a commentary to how things get distorted. One of the quotes that was used right now was this quote to say, if somebody who is white has a partner who is racialized, and how can they be possibly considered racist? Let me just use this example and use another dimension of gender from the perspective of, can I stand before all of the audience that is listening and participating in tonight's meeting and say, because if I were to be married to a female, I cannot be sexist. Being married to somebody of a different race or a different gender does not give you an out. And so it is understanding these concepts and what is being said and not distorting them to have a fuller understanding. As Director Ennis has said, can you believe that today we're calling anti-racist work racist? I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Ennis. Appreciate your commentary. Pardeep, I don't know what else to call it. Thank you so much. Again, I think we need to be very mindful that when we are looking at the documents that we have, that we are reading the document in the strain that it was written. So often, as Director Ennis said, and Pardeep, I'm just going to say Pardeep, we start to listen to those distorted voices that come from places that don't always look in things in the best possible way. So I too am not in favor of this part of the motion. I see no further speakers on the list, so I'm going to ask if everybody is ready for this question. And so if everybody can please cast their votes on part one of this motion, which is looking at the documents in support of the multi-year plan. Trustee Ahmed?
I do not support.
Thank you very much. So that vote does not pass. In favor, Trustee Zhang. Against, Trustee Amos, Trustee Daniele, Trustee Bryden, Trustee Gray, Trustee Collard, Chair Shuttleworth, Trustee Baxter, Trustee Rocha, Trustee Oliver, and Trustee Ahmed. Thank you very much. Okay, we are now to the second part of the motion, which is, be it further resolved that the Director of Education provide the Board a written report by October 18th, 2023, outlining how speakers are chosen and what the Board does to ensure the messaging is in line with the HDSB values and the promotion of public education. Do I need to do... But... Okay, so the motion is on the floor. I'm actually going to ask Director Ennis to speak to this first, if that's okay. So, again, I am trying to separate some of the information I have received tonight from the actual motion, because I do think that there is quite a bit of merit in this motion. We have had speakers come to the board that sometimes have maybe had messaging that hasn't been in line with the values that the HDSB espouses. So, and I have had conversations about this with Director Ennis. So before we start speaking about it, I'm just going to pass it over to Director Ennis to maybe make a couple comments, because we were talking about it earlier today. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair Shuttleworth. I think that the entire genesis of this entire motion is misguided. However, I do believe that there can be a place and a space for looking at how we bring speakers to our board. And I think that's work that we can do. We do have a external presentation administrative procedure, albeit that it speaks more towards speakers coming to speak to students, not staff. But certainly we're open to reviewing that AP. I think it's long overdue. And something that we can look at, given the background of the previous motion. However, I don't know if the motive of what we are trying to achieve would be in alignment. But I think that there is a space for us to look at who we're bringing to the board. But I would let me say this: the board has been very, our staff, our principals, have been very careful in bringing speakers to our board. There have been very few, if any, speakers, very few, if any, that we can point to that is of any concern, that has raised any concern from parents, students, staff. Very few. We have done an exceptional job, given the thousands of speakers that have come to the HDSB. Exceptional. So while I see some merit, I'm willing to look at our external presentation AP. I certainly would not be in favor of the timelines to look at it, but I would concede that there may be value there, but it's more of a solution in search of a problem.
Thank you, Director Ennis. Trustee Daniele.
Thank you very much. That actually leads nicely to what I was going to say. With this one, I think perhaps, Director Ennis, if we trustees would have an information piece on exactly what that external presentation AP is and how it's followed. So I think we need an understanding of what we're doing, because I know that for myself, I was fortunate enough, I was questioned this summer on how presenters come to our board, and I reached out to staff because I wanted to know. And again, Human Rights Equity Advisor Pradeep Nagra was absolutely foundational in helping me understand just what our policies and process is for bringing it. And once I had that information, I felt much better just knowing what we do. And I don't know if Pradeep would want to speak to that at this point. But for me, I don't think we need to talk about how we ensure the messaging is in line, because that presumes that the messaging is not in line, and I do not agree with that in any way, shape, or form. But I do think if we had information and an understanding of exactly what that procedure is and how it's implemented, might be of value. I don't know if my fellow trustees would find it of value. I do know that when I did speak to Human Rights Equity Advisor Pradeep Nagra, it really just because 17 years and it was information I didn't already have. And I am very big on when you know, you know. And when you don't know, you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So for me, it's more of an information piece than a fact-finding, blaming type of piece would be how I would look at it. But again, I don't know if Pradeep Nagra would want to say anything regarding our discussions.
So, Trustee Daniele, can I pause on Pradeep for a moment, but can I ask you to take a look at the wording of that motion and think about maybe an amendment that you might like to make? Do you have the wording there in front of you?
I do.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to let you think about it while we go through the list, all right? Vice Chair Rocha.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. I heard Director Ennis say that there is an admin procedure about, I was just Googling it, external presentations in schools. So really, it's more of a question to you because APs are outside of a trustee's purview. Would you be open to reviewing that AP and perhaps adding language that talks about this very topic, about how presenters are selected for schools, for staff, whatnot, and do it as an update to an AP? Again, we can't put a motion forward to make you update it. So in a nice way, would you be open to updating that AP? And just like when all APs get updated, you and your team would bring it to committee of the whole for review, and it would then be part of the board package. So in that way, we don't need to amend this motion, and then we don't have to, we could vote to say no to this motion. So I'm trying to make it easier for everyone. So I would ask you for your thoughts, Director Ennis.
Can I clarify? Make a clarification.
Go ahead.
So for the speaker, this is not about human rights. So the speaker is, we need to support the public education and for the students' academic achievements. So that's our MYP. And so the speaker says she doesn't want to.
Okay, so Trustee Zhang, can we go through the speakers list? If you want to speak, can go on the list, please. Thank you very much. Trustee Oliver. Sorry. Director Ennis needs to answer. Vice Chair Rocha first.
Yes.
So sorry.
No, that's okay. Vice Chair Rocha, yes, I would absolutely be amenable to looking at the AP and through the normal course of action, make some changes and present it back at a future time.
I appreciate that because then that takes care of the topic in its entirety. Thank you.
Trustee Oliver.
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the Director. So I believe we're getting to where I was going to take us. When I looked at this report, a couple of things came to mind. And the most important to me is that I believe the operational plan is built around the 5 commitments of our multi-year plan and the goals that were identified to support each of the 5 commitments. I believe that staff put a lot of careful consideration when they select the resources that they believe will best support or enhance the particular aspects of the curriculum in an endeavor to attain the desired goals and outcomes, and that those resources are in the best interest of the students, their learning, and their overall academic experience. And so when I'm looking at the motion and approaching it from the spirit that I would like to approach it from, we're heading in the direction that I would support, and that is to look at what admin procedures we have in place that speak to that external resource procurement of external speakers. There is a policy, the external presentations, it is up for review. And, if I could just add a suggestion that perhaps staff think about maybe a framework that would help to guide staff in both their search for external presenters or resources and in their assessment of those resources to ensure that they do, in fact, line up with the values of the HDSB. So I'm happy that we're going that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Collard.
Thank you. So I'm in alignment with Vice Chair Rocha and Trustee Oliver. I believe this is a matter of reviewing the current AP and perhaps even looking at the procurement policy itself, because the procurement policy is very much linked to human rights and equity, and discusses in there our commitment to ensuring that all of the things that we procure falling side of the Ontario Human Rights Code, our equity policy, those types of things. So I think between those two APs, we could find middle ground and not have to ask the director to bring forward a report on an operational item. And as others have said, when it comes to administrative procedures, they are not within our purview. So the director would bring those in the normal cycle of AP review. And then we could perhaps request that Trustee Zhang withdraw his motion, and then we don't have to vote on it. That would, I think, be the most logical way to go forward. Thank you.
So, Trustee Zhang, so through the conversations that we've had right now, in recognizing that really looking at how the procurement of speakers coming in is as administrative procedure, would you be happy with withdrawing your motion and allowing the director to further look into the admin procedure around external presentations, as well as maybe we just updated the procurement procedure. I seem to recall that coming very recently in June to the table. So would you be happy with that replacement and be able to withdraw the motion that you put on the floor?
Actually, I want to clarify the motion and the report to explain the background and the discussion we just had. They are different things. We discussed a lot of things about the speaker and the AP and the human rights. Actually, what I said in the report is I referenced a day field trip AP. So in our school day field trip, it's a field trip AP. So that's in the background. Because in our board, we support the field trip, and the field trip enrich the learning experience. That's in our AP. And the speaker actually in the presentation in TED Talk said we can.
So Trustee Zhang, again, you're looking to TED Talks. Those are not, again, we need to be mindful, regardless of what it's the same topic or not, we need to be mindful that when we are looking at speakers that come to the board, we are looking at the messages they are giving directly to the board. We hear messages outside of the board from people who have different views, but that's not what they're saying when they are coming into our schools. So we just need to be mindful when you are referring to a TED Talk or something that if you are looking at something, you are citing something specifically related to our school board. And right now, I'm really concerned that some of the things that you're speaking to fall outside of that.
Right.
Day trips and school presentations are admin procedures. As trustees, those are not under our purview. Those are under staff. Right. So that is under Director Ennis.
If a speaker come to our board and go to schools and she said she doesn't want STEM program, doesn't want book fair, no pizza day. So is that to support the public education?
So again, Trustee Zhang,
the school board operation.
Trustee Zhang, I'm just concerned that those might not be the messages that have been sent to our board. So again, we need to be mindful of where those messages are coming from. So again, I'm going to ask the question again. With the discussion that's happened at the table and the trustees turning to Director Ennis to say, will you review the admin procedure around external presentations, and again, maybe take a look back for us to go and take a look back at the updated procurement procedure that was presented to us in June. Would you be happy to withdraw the motion that you have on the floor and have it substituted with the actions that Director Ennis has agreed that he'd look into?
No.
Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to, Trustee Ahmed, do you have something to say before I call the question?
Yes, please. I have a question, and it's directly to you, Chair Shuttleworth. You said that we cannot quote TED Talk and outside talks when the speakers are selected, and we only have to look at what their message that they deliver to our board and our schools. So based on that, I have a question. If a speaker has posted some questionable content on the social media or given some speeches outside that are like not in alignment with our policies, the board policies. When we select them to come to our board, our schools, and give a talk to our children, our staff, like our students and our staff, don't we take their background in consideration before selecting them? Like, I just want to understand. That's why I'm asking.
So,
Like,
Trustee Ahmed,
if we are completely overruling,
I'm going to
if we are
pass
just
that over to Director Ennis to answer because it is
yeah,
staff
so
that
my
select.
question is not completely over. So if we want to completely ignore their social media activity, the TED Talks and the speeches that they give outside, and if they are completely questionable, not in alignment with our board, how do we ignore that, and what is the criteria? Like, who do we ignore? Suppose tomorrow a staff does that same thing. Tomorrow, suppose a trustee does the same thing, post some questionable things on the social media. Do we say that, okay, since that trustee is not addressing the board, not in the board meeting, not posting those posts, sitting in the board meeting, we cannot hold them responsible? Like, I just want to understand, like.
So again, Trustee Ahmed, just before I pass it over to Director Ennis to answer in terms of speakers coming to the board, as trustees, our messaging has to be in alignment with the board. That is, we work with the board. We are part of the board. So that is what you're saying there. I don't know aligns specifically, but I'm going to pass it over to Director Ennis as far as background of speakers is concerned.
Certainly, I would agree with Trustee Ahmed. I mean, certainly, you know, if things are being said on social media, online, in the media, wherever, at a street corner, that is concerning, that does not align with our values, I think we would be prudent not to have those people in our schools. I would agree with that. But the question, I think, really is there a speaker that is concerning to Trustee Zhang, because we're certainly not aware of it. We're not aware of it. But certainly, you know, I would agree with you, Trustee Ahmed. There is room for that, of course. That has to form a part of the vetting. If someone is online spewing hate, you better believe I don't want to see them in our board.
Trustee Ahmed, do you have a follow-up? You have time left.
Yes, please. So my other question is, when human rights values and human rights themselves are evolving. Like, we have not reached the end where we can say that, okay, you know what, we have worked on our human rights values and everything, and we've done a good job, and we can rest. It's a work in progress, and we have to make sure that we are open to other things. Today, we can look at something and we can say that, okay, you know what, in today's world, this is against the human rights. But the same thing tomorrow, we might end up supporting. It can happen. And I can give examples, but I'll run out of time. So that's what I'm trying to say, that if anybody is trying to promote hatred towards any community, any race, any religion, any creed, anything, I think we should promote culture of inclusivity, culture of love, and culture of belonging in our board, and keep the controversial figures out, if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ahmed, and I think that is a nice note to end the conversation on. I'm going to call the question. So is everybody happy with do I need to read it again, or is everybody happy with where the motion is? Right, so this is the set part B of the motion, which is to look at how speakers are chosen. Which is, and again, remembering the conversation, please. Trustee Ahmed, can I know how you vote, please?
I vote yes, please.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And that does not pass. People in favor were Trustee Zhang, Trustee Baxter, and Trustee Ahmed. Against are Trustee Amos, Trustee Daniele, Trustee Bryden, Trustee Gray, Trustee Collard, Chair Shuttleworth, Vice Chair Rocha, and Trustee Oliver. Thank you very much. Trustee Daniele.
As a follow-up, I would like to ask if possible at some point if the director could bring us an update on that, the policy, that the admin procedure we were talking about, just for our information, so that we do understand. No, nothing more than understanding is being asked for.
Certainly, I would agree to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you very much, Director Ennis, for your input on that issue. I think it's really important, again, that we're really making sure we're watching where we are. So I appreciate the conversation. Thank you. Okay, we are now up to item 4.3 for deferred action. Vice Chair Rocha, you have a report 23132 that you would like to bring later. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yes. So in keeping with our current provisions in our bylaw, anytime we make a change to a policy, a governance procedure, or the bylaw, it needs to come to the board twice. So here's instance number one. So this motion actually speaks to that in a way that right now a lot of items, not just policies, need to come to the board twice before a decision is made. And oftentimes a motion will actually come 3 times before us. So once at committee of the whole, and then 2 more times at board. So by the time someone is making a decision, it could be 2 months. And with a lens of efficiency and productivity, something that this board has been doing for over a decade now, in trying to make our meetings more efficient, more productive. How do we work better? The report that I will be elaborating on next week at Committee of the Whole to collect everyone's feedback is to consider having reports stop coming twice for decision. So perhaps it comes to Committee of the Whole where we can have a more fulsome discussion where we're not bound by how many times we can speak and the length of time versus and then coming to the board twice more. So really it's going to be an exercise of why is it that we do what we do, and is there a way we can do it better? So in the end, I am proposing that we stop with having reports coming to the board twice. This board, not Committee of the Whole, but this board. And if we think that's a good thing to do, then also perhaps looking at which reports do merit coming to Committee of the Whole first before they come to the board. So I just want to put that out there in case somebody wants to chat with me before next week's Committee of the Whole, where we can go over the list of reports that are showing up twice. And we'll go from there. So that's where I'm at. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rocha. So I see there's a speaker on the list, but I'm recognizing that we're going to be bringing this back to You won't be here next week. Okay, go ahead, Trustee Amos.
My apologies, I will not be able to attend next week. I have some concerns around this. The reason we had items come to the board twice was so that the public was aware of the item and had the opportunity to then come and delegate. And because there's a 2-week period in between, with having it at Committee of the Whole and then potentially having it a week later, I don't know that there would be time to, or I would suggest that most people do not tune into Committee of the Whole to look at items. So those are some concerns of mine. I will try and create an email if I think of some other things to share before the meeting.
Yeah. So just to acknowledge, thank you, Trustee Amos. So I am cognizant there are some topics that come before us twice because we do want public input. And that was the thought process behind the second part of the motion, to really review what should be coming twice versus does everything really need to come twice? So that was part of my thought process. So thank you for raising that issue tonight. Okay, and I did share with you that I believe we're using the wrong word, because deferred means for not a specific amount of time, whereas postponed is usually to the next time. So we may want to look at that at some point. Noted, but that's not part of my motion. So, all right, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Trustee Amos. Okay, we're going to try to motor through because I had a bet with one of the superintendents here that we're going to try to be finished by 8:30. So I've lost the bet. Okay, communication to the board. For information, we have nothing new for September the 6th. We have no notices of motions. So we are on to the director's report, which says 15 minutes. I think you can do it faster.
Thank you, Chair Shuttleworth. I won't say that you whispered. I think you can do it faster. Absolutely we can. I just want to start with this quote from, Catherine Hayhoe, the climate scientist, in her book Saving Us, who said, "I make a practice of hope. I search for and collect and share stories and good news about people who are making a difference." And that's what we try to highlight during the director's report. And so I'm going to turn it over to the first person is, I think it's Roxana.
No pressure. All right, so we have an update on transportation with the first day of school today. We certainly had a significant improvement from the previous 2 years in terms of driver shortage and delays. We have seen some delays on the first day, of course. About 88 of our 458 routes had a medium delay of about 15 minutes, but we did have a couple of routes that had a more significant delay as a result of some construction, traffic, as well as some last-minute changes and requests from the family and schools. So overall, the bus companies have done a great job with recruitment, as well as bringing in excess staff and out-of-town drivers in order to reduce the open routes this year. So a comparison is provided to trustees for the last 2 years as well, and we'll keep an eye on this over the course of the week. Sometimes we have some fluctuation in terms of resignations and changes that requests from parents that will potentially prove to be a bit more challenging, but so far we've had a great start of the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was good. On to the next speaker. We have Eamon. Are you up next? Yes.
Thank you, Director Ennis. I just wanted to give a quick update on our elementary remote learning partnership that we have with the Peel District School Board. Happy to say that the 27 families that requested elementary remote learning have been registered with the Peel District School Board, and they've committed to learning with the school board, Peel District School Board, for the year. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent Proto.
Hi, and I will speak to secondary remote learning. We had approximately 15 students that were in grade 9 and 10 this year that were moving over from our VSS, and so they've been accommodated with e-learning sections. We just had to build a few extra sections to make sure we had things in place for them. Grade 11 and 12 students were already well accommodated because we had so many e-learning courses and options for them. So they were already in a really great place for what we could offer them so they could still learn remotely.
Before you move on to the leadership, I just want to say how thrilled I am that so many of our parents have chosen to bring our students back in person. It's a message that we have been sending. I think it's working, and I'm so thrilled because it's just better for our students, their mental health, and their well-being. Superintendent Proto.
August 24th, we had our annual kickoff leadership conference. It was a fantastic turnout. We have approximately 300 managers, vice principals, principals, leaders in the board that attend. They get a central message. Curtis was a fantastic keynote speaker. Margot also gave some fantastic trustee. Shuttleworth gave some fantastic words of inspiration. Then we had experiential learning this year. So everyone that was involved signed up for an activity that was up to 3 hours for some deeper learning than what we've done in the past. And lastly, we ended at Game Time Social just to network. And we have never had a turnout at that the way that we did this year as well. So it's really nice to see everyone face to face, everyone networking, everyone learning, and kicking off the year in such a positive way.
Superintendent Petco, Indigenous Games.
Thank you, Director Ennis. So my question is, have you heard about the North American Indigenous Games? And have you heard that our very own Grayson Blackbird from Milton District High School traveled to Halifax, Nova Scotia to represent Ontario as part of the U19 soccer team at the North American Indigenous Games? We're so very proud. Almost 5,000 athletes from across Turtle Island participated in 16 different sports between July 15th and the 23rd. And this was the 10th annual North American Indigenous Games. And it began in the 1970s, if you didn't know. So as you know, Halton District School Board is committed to celebrating the brilliance, excellence, and many contributions of Indigenous peoples. We celebrate Grayson's accomplishments and are very proud of the leadership he has demonstrated with his gifts of athleticism and connections to his Walpole Island First Nation, Potawatomi, and Anishinaabe indigeneity. Team Ontario, if you didn't know, finished with the bronze medal in soccer, so congratulations to Grayson. We're very proud of you.
Awesome. Congratulations. Superintendent Proto, Iroquois Ridge.
We're talking lots tonight. At Iroquois Ridge, the Interact Club raised $900 for Canadian Red Cross. This money will go to families who have been displaced from Turkey and Syria. Our grade 10 student, Leanne Ambour, was the person who initiated this. And there is a teacher named Catherine Patterson who has been doing this for many, many years. The Interact Club has grown to 60 students, and their next adventure will be to work with Dream Volunteers and mandate a focus on education opportunities for children in remote communities.
Thank you so much. And just the message I've attached that I just want to read, it'll take just a short time. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Trustees, senior staff, and all school and corporate staff for getting our schools ready and our workspaces ready for another school year. Congratulations to all who have put in the great work. This morning I had the privilege to spend time with students, families, and staff at one of our schools. The enthusiasm was contagious. The air was filled with the hopes and dreams of eager learners desiring to be their best selves. I was struck by the number of families who said it's going to be a great year. I just heard that over and over again. It's going to be a great year. I share their optimism, and we'll do everything in our power to make it so. We are excited to continue the focus on our commitments in the multi-year strategic plan. We anticipate our work on a renewed MYSP will set the foundation for the next few years, and we're excited to engage in that work. Central to what we do is our commitment to learning and achievement for all. Learning and achievement has been the hallmark of the Halton District School Board, and we will continue to do so during the 23-24 school year to pursue the excellence that has defined us for many years. In the midst of this success, however, our world continues to experience polarization and turmoil. My hope is that the HDSB would not be a reflection of this divide, but a mirror to society of what a kind, just, equitable world should be. As we embark on a journey of this year, I'm reminded of the words of Catherine Hayhoe that I shared with you earlier. I make a practice of hope. I search for and collect and share stories and good news about people who are making a difference. I encourage all of us to make a practice of hope, to see the good in each other, to tell positive and good stories, to highlight and illuminate difference makers, to be motivated by kindness, and to create the conditions for a better HDSB. That is in all of our powers. This indeed will be a great year if we make it so. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ennis.
There's a video. You can watch it later. It's beautiful.
Okay, communication from the chair. You can see there are 4 letters that are attached from correspondence over the summer from school boards to the ministry, as well as a letter from the ministry regarding their mental health literacy modules and mandatory professional activity days. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Trustee Daniele.
Thank you. I actually have a report from the Human Rights Equity Advisory Committee. As you may know, that over the summer, a small subcommittee of the HRE's AC had looked for expression of interest from selected candidates to make a more robust committee. They received almost 60 applicants of community and individual representation, and they did interviews, and they have finalized and offered the opportunity to 3 individuals and candidates that have confirmed their ongoing desire, availability, and commitment to attend and be a part of the work. So we just wanted to let you know on behalf of Trustee Amos and myself and Superintendent Petco, who is responsible for it, to let you know that the new members joining are Sophia Alakan, a parent, who's also a social justice lawyer and award-winning author in the racial justice space and has quite a bio there. Simone Renee Pabu, who is the Director of Outreach Onyx Initiative, as well as Taylor Henderson, who is the leader of PFLAG Halton, a nonprofit organization that builds awareness, education, and advocacy for the 2S LGBTQIA plus community in Halton region. So 60 people interested and 3 exceptional people joining the committee. So we just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Collard.
Yes, on behalf of the Government's Document Review Standing Committee, please, if you have not yet responded to the survey regarding an upcoming review of some documents, please take some time to respond to the survey. I promise it's not a difficult one. It'll take you 5 minutes tops, I'm sure less. So please do. I'm waiting for 3 more responses, and I don't know who they are because it's anonymized. So please take a look in your inbox and follow that link. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Collard. We are now up to OPSPA update. Anything from OPSPA? Nothing? No. Wonderful. Trustee questions and comments. All right, give it a couple more seconds. Seeing none, that brings us to the end of our meeting. And as Director Ennis said, I too was out at schools this morning in the heat with people who might have suits that aren't quite as sharp as they were earlier today. But again, the excitement that was seen, even though it was so hot, was so wonderful. First-time parents dropping their kids off for kindergarten and being able to so excitedly be able to, with the slight anxiety, know that their kids are in good hands with the teachers at the HSB. It was just a wonderful, wonderful start to my day today. I know it was a wonderful start to Superintendent Shaws as well. We also got a couple cannolis, which was wonderful from the principal at McQuendam. Sorry for my pronunciation.
The Italian in me.
I know, I'm so sorry. But again, it is just so wonderful to welcome everybody back. Thank you so much for coming this evening. And with that, I call this meeting adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.